What if I told you you could double, triple, even quadruple your whole business's revenue just by making simple website tweaks? It might sound a little crazy or it might sound like it's too good to be true, but this framework is used by billion-dollar companies all the way down to small business owners and everybody in between. And the good news is you don't need to be an expert in digital marketing, web design, web development, sales, anything like that. And once you have this framework, you'll be able to apply it to everything moving forward. Because if you were able to do this now, there are three very distinct advantages. Let's say you go from one customer who buys your thing out of 1,000 clicks to your website to 10 customers. Well, number one, you've just effectively 10x your entire business's revenue without having to do any extra work. Number two, you didn't spend anything extra to get more people to your website, like ads, SEO, marketing initiatives, a newsletter. You got more value out of the same traffic that visited you. And number three, you were able to realize that this process is now iterative. There's no more guesswork, because if you're paying somebody for a monthly maintenance contract to modify your website, or even if you're just bare minimum paying to host the site, you will now have the tools to get that website and actually have an ROI on it, get a return on investment. You should be getting leads, you should be getting customers, bare minimum, you should get people reaching out to you about your thing. If that's not happening, then your website is simply a waste of money. It's just costing you something on an invoice, on a line item, whatever platform you're using. It's not actually helping your business grow. By the way, if you stick around till the end of the video, I will give you a free little bonus cheat sheet that allows you to take these concepts and skip all the guesswork on what to actually change on your website to get better results, so that you can do it even if you struggle with marketing, sales, copywriting, web design, or development, and you don't need to guess on where to even begin on the whole process. So before we continue, my name is Alexander. If you don't know me, I work one-on-one with business owners to help them get more profitability for doing less work. Because you might actually be 6 inches from success, and your business model might be the thing that's holding you back. And that is what I do. I work with you, not to do some random one-off service, but to actually get down to the fundamentals, because those are what are going to help you succeed. It's about your operations, your sales, and your marketing. And if you have all those figured out, if you have a stellar product service, then all you need to do is just throw gasoline on the already lit fire. And that is what I help business owners do, and why I make videos like these, because there are no secrets, there are no hacks, there are no breaking the algorithm. It's just about the fundamentals. So let's go ahead and continue. But before we do that, I want to propose a thought exercise to you to get you in the right frame of mind. And that is, go to your website right now. Probably looks something like this. Basically a big square at the top. Maybe there's a button there. There's a header of some sort. There's probably a subheader. And there's probably some random text, just a paragraph. And this is our button. Now here's the thing. The first thing that you're probably doing incorrectly with your website, unfortunately, is the language you're using. And this is a very, very big component. What I mean is, this is how you can actually test this. And this is the thought exercise. Take your website and show it to two people. One of those people will be your friend, family, associate, coworker, somebody in your life that you don't want to sell this thing to. And then the other one will be your target. And this is the person you do want to sell this thing to. And ask them point blank, only looking at your homepage, only looking at this big section here, the very first thing they see, do they understand do they understand what it is that you're selling? Do they understand the value that it brings to either the person or themselves? And do they understand what the next step they have to take is? Because if they don't have all of those succinctly addressed at the very beginning, that is a huge problem. Now I'm going to show you how to fix this and why it matters so much. Because can you guess what the number one problem is for websites? I'll give you a hint. It has nothing to do with the design, the animations, the colors, the pictures, the fonts. It has to do with the message. You need to fix this now, because if you don't, then people commonly, I look at their website and I don't understand what it is they do within the first 5 seconds, why it matters to me, and what I'm supposed to do. And that assumes that, let's say they visit your website, which is probably going to be broken into 4 stages here. They visit the website. Up here would probably be a search engine. They land on it. They read it. Hopefully, they get value out of something. They look at it and say, yeah, that's me. And then they buy it. But a lot of people won't even make it past this portion here. Now, there's an easy way that you can fix this. And all websites follow the same formula, which, if you don't believe me, go to any major corporation and look at their homepage or look at the landing page of what they're trying to sell. And this is what you need to emulate. You have what's called your H1, which is the biggest header. You could think about this like a newspaper print that you would see, for example, the headline. This is the headline of your website. And this is the outcome for them. And then your H2, how you do it. And then if you want to, you can have a little paragraph underneath that, which is more details. And then finally, your CTA, or your call to action, needs to be there. That is your button. The button that directs them straight to the next step you want to take, which is the next step. And this is the basic structure of any website. The outcome you can get for them should be the first thing they see, what it does for them. So this would be an ideal website that sells for you and conveys your value. Your H1 would go here, your H2 would go here, your paragraph, and then your CTA or button. In the first 5 seconds, I should know what you do, how you do it, and more details on what to do. And then the second portion of this is probably going to be your end state imagery, or ESI. End state imagery is huge because you do not want to show a generic image, and more importantly, you don't want to show an image that will turn buyers away. Let's say, for instance, that you were selling weight loss, for example. Would it make more sense to have an image that shows a huge gym that's empty and just random equipment splattered about? And you're really proud of that as a gym owner because you spent tens of thousands of dollars on all this high-tech gym equipment with the treadmills and the dumbbells and the rep bands, whatever. I don't have a gym. I don't know the proper terminology. But you would understand. You'd look at that and go, oh, this place looks boring. This looks like a lot of work. Or, for example, if you're still selling the gym, would you want to show some guy frustrated with the workout, sweating and just agitated? No. You want to show end state imagery. That means that you want to show imagery of your client winning, having a great time, smiling, living the dream life they've wanted at the other end. This applies to anything. For example, if you're selling CPA services, show them not having to stress about bills. If you're selling weight loss, for example, show them smiling and winning when they're physically fit. If you're selling videography, show them just finishing that interview and getting a killer video. But if I see gear, if I see industry jargon, if I see abstract imagery that doesn't make any sense, I can't tell you how many websites I see that sell services and then have a picture of a skyscraper. Is your target demographic a skyscraper? Probably not. Show people, show faces, show them in their desired dream state, where they're at after they get your product or service. And then pair that with your H1, which tells us exactly in plain English what you do, or whatever language demographic you're targeting. By that, I mean, it should be so easy that a 5th grader should be able to understand it. That is the metric. If I go to your website and I don't see that, it's not going to make sense to your target customer. And then my next question is, great, you can get me that dream state. How are you going to do that? H2, tell me how you get me there. Paragraph, perfect. I want to know a little bit more details about what that process might look like. And then your CTA, which is going to be your button that takes me straight to the next steps. And if this you feel is too dense, there is an alternative you can do as well, which is basically going to be your H1, your H2, and then instead of having a paragraph, you can do your bullet point 1, bullet point 2, bullet point 3, CTA. Always use an odd number of bullet points and start with a minimum of 3. Your bullet points should be one sentence ideally that tells me the feature, the benefit I get out of it, and the outcome. If that doesn't make sense, there's a video below where I talk more details about how this formula works. But people are more likely to read bullet points than they are to read paragraphs of text. Now, you might need that paragraph depending on the complexity of what it is you're selling, but ultimately boil it down into bullet points if you can, make it easily digestible. And then not only that, you want to start to talk about it in language that they understand. Now that we have the formula for how to do this, you want to understand that the messaging, the language you use is another crucial component. So the structure, while also mattering, is also equally important to have the right words. If you're using jargon that only you use in your industry, if you're using language that they don't actually understand, and most importantly, if you're using words that they're just like, this doesn't apply to me, this doesn't resonate with me, I don't get this thing, this doesn't really seem valuable to me, then that is a huge problem. So what you can do to fix that is simply to understand the language that they use. I would encourage you to join Facebook groups, join LinkedIn groups, join whatever places that your customers, clients, targets hang out at, and see what problems they have and then address those on your website. And most importantly, I'm going to give you a little bit of vocab tutorial today. This is called your hero section. And the reason your hero section is most important, it's your prime real estate on any website. It's the first thing they see. It's the first attention grabber that they're going to experience. And hopefully it is going to encourage them to say, I want to learn more. If you don't even get that far, they're not going to actually reach out to you. So to recap, your messaging should be spot on, basic, easy to understand. Make them the hero. Tell them what you're going to do for them, the outcome you can create. Do not sell your job, service, or title. Do not try and sell a feature. Try and empathize with them. You understand what they're going through. You want them to get to that dream state. You want to sell them the journey, not the vacation. You want to not sell them, for instance, if I drop on your site, for an example, and it just says, we are a grade A accounting firm that is great in this location. Okay, everybody says they're great. Everybody is probably has competitors in that location that do similar products or similar services to you. So number 2, language. Use the language they understand. Use the language that resonates with them. Use the language that they are looking for to enter the conversation in their head. And then the final thing is use imagery showing them what that journey looks like on the other side. Do not use a stock image of a skyscraper, of tools, of a piece of gear, of a random tree. People. People buy the things. Nobody out there, no inanimate object is buying your thing. A skyscraper is not buying your product, so show imagery of that person winning. Look for images of people smiling, having a great time, existing on the other end of they've just paid you. What does that scenario look like? The second mistake you might be making on your website without realizing it, it's work to buy from you. What does that mean? Well, imagine a scenario in your head. And I'm going to write this out because I feel like this illustrates it completely. It's work to buy. Well, everything requires some degree of work. I have to drive to the store. I have to reach out. I have to get a quote, all of these things. But let me propose a thought scenario to you. Let's say you're on vacation and you want to rent a car to travel around this new area. Well, you have 2 options. You have the option where you have to call them. This is our telephone. I'm not a good artist. And they're going to relay everything over the phone. They're going to give you the inventory, the stock of what they actually have in terms of that inventory. So what different trim they have, make and model, color, is it all-wheel drive, how much does it cost, when can I pick it up, all that stuff. And then eventually, even if you agree, you might whip out your credit card, relay it over the phone, they take a deposit, you go into the store. That sounds like a nightmare. Or you visit the other car rentals website and you see all of these little promos and all these little bonuses and everything in an easy to understand fashion and a big button that says see now. And you click on that button. You can see the make, model, inventory, pricing, availability. You can even set a pickup time, all from the comfort of the airport on your mobile device without having to call somebody up and scramble through tons of different cars that they may or may not even have on the lot. Which one would you choose? The really hard one or the really easy one. And this might sound obvious at face value, but I think it's important to illustrate the point, which is that if I go to your website and you are the call now car dealership, then nobody's going to buy from you. Or even if they do, you're assuming that they go through all of these different processes. And let's illustrate this. Let's assume that an average website probably has a couple of different steps, which is find it, click something on the site, contact, email, or a phone to a sale. So let's say, for instance, I find your website, I click on the button that takes me to the next step, I fill out your contact form, I wait for an email or a phone call back, and then ultimately I give you my money. Does that sound like a better experience than if your website just literally had a buy button? And this is really important, and you can usually fix this over time to get to the best result faster, but even in the short run, make it less work. Here's how you can fix this. A, more value. So this is the easiest tweak you can make right now, which is if I see a button on your website that says something like talk to the sales team, contact us, reach out for a quote, start to break down that process, demystify it, tell me what's going to happen next, spell it out. How long? Let's say I fill out your contact form. How long will it take you to get back from me? What? What am I going to get in return? Am I going to get an email? Am I going to get a phone call? Am I going to get a text message? Where, or I should say, probably how much. If you can even bare minimum put a little bit of pricing on there or some inclination of how much this thing costs, first of all, you're going to get a better, more qualified lead. And second of all, you'll be able to get people who will reach out to you more because they'll be able to understand this. So how long? What am I going to get in return? And ideally, how much, or at least an indicator of how much sacrifice I have to make. You don't even have to directly address the pricing. You can even say, hey, this is what we're going to do. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And this is the sacrifice needed of you. Change your buttons to be higher value. Make it less work. Make it seem like it's more valuable to them. Instead of contact the sales team, request a free quote or book your free quote today, or actually even create a widget that calculates the quote online. Or above all, if you can even make it a buy button, they can just add it to cart, put in their credit card and be done with it. That is the ultimate version of it. But see how you can get to that portion iteratively. Even small tweaks to your buttons on your site that actually say, hey, I don't want to talk to the sales team, to, oh yeah, I would love a free quote. Small tweak, fundamentally the same thing, but the presentation is different. And then also, let's say you've done that, make it a buy button, which is huge. If you can make your thing a buy button, you're already ahead of 90% of the competition. And I know that you're struggling with that in the back of your head. You're saying my product or my service it's so custom and I have to get quotes and I have to get pricing. I'll tell you now, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are hundreds of different widgets, applets that would allow you to spit out a quote. And then when they ask for that quote, get to the point where you ask for the email in return so you still get to the lead. Or even if you can make it, like I said, a buy button, then they can just add it to their cart. But you need to start to either A, if you have a service, productize those or turn your services into flat rate options. Or you need to take your product and just start to make it simpler to buy, which is probably a big component of where you're missing out on. And there's 3 things that you can do right now, which is you can either optimize the sale or the selling. So think about all the things that you enjoy about other websites. Does it have Apple Pay? Does it have buy now, pay later? Do I have to do a whole 5-page checkout experience? Just make it simple. So start to optimize that sales process so that they can't say no. And then also place it everywhere. If I go to your website and I see that button and it's only in one spot, that's a huge red flag. No website that's successful operates like that. Put it in your newsletter, put it on other portions of your website, put it in your social, put it everywhere so they click that button and get closer to there. And then the last thing you're going to want to do is, if you've successfully changed the language of your buttons to be more valuable, or the language you're using to make it more valuable or seem like less work, or at least for them to understand the work involved, and ultimately you've started transition to a buy button, then the last thing that you can do is to simply ask. If you find that either one of these is still not working, then just ask your customer, because they'll tell you what is it that they got that was most valuable out of working with you, and what did they expect. Just channel that back into your website. Then you can start to understand that that work suddenly becomes more value to them. I can't tell you how many people will drive hundreds of miles in an effort to buy the latest and greatest product and stand outside in line for it, where they might look at your product or service that could bring them much more valuable and much more value into their life, and they're still thinking about it. They still have what ifs. So if they don't even understand that, then you need to start to just ask them, get that data. So to recap, make it less work to buy from you. Don't have them fill out a long journey form and then not even tell them when you're going to get back to them. Don't have them go through this whole thing where they're going to just talk to the sales team and be sold at, or ideally just make it a buy button. If you can make it simpler, easier, faster to work with you, that is the best scenario, regardless of if you have a product or service. And it applies in both instances. If you have a service and I'm having to fill out your long contact form, let alone find that, that's work. Or if you have a product and you don't even have quick pay like Apple Pay, Google Pay, or maybe even buy now, pay later as a prime example, and I have to whip out my credit card, enter that information, I'll just go to another website that does, probably buy it off of Amazon. Make it easy to buy from you. Make it easy to buy your product or service. Before we continue, if all this is really confusing and you're kind of struggling because you're not the most tech savvy, or maybe you don't understand how to modify these portions on your website, or even where to begin, I'll just give you a free website audit. All you have to do is click on the link in the description. We'll do a screen share session, and what'll happen is I'll show you exactly what to change, how to change it, and why it matters for your business, so that you can get more revenue from your website that you're already paying for right now, and it's probably not getting you results. The third mistake you might be doing without realizing it is you don't have proof or trust. By that, I mean, when you get to a big billion-dollar, million-dollar brand, you have proof of you doing the thing. Think of everybody that you've worked with in the past. There's likely quantifiable things that you did for them. You increased their revenue by this amount, you increased customer satisfaction, you grew their business, you did something, and you can show that you've done that. Or they have reviews on Yelp, on Google, on Bing, on Facebook, on Apple Maps, or flat out, you can even get video testimonials. If I go to your website, and I can't tell you how easy it is to go from, let's say you have the top version, which is you right now, and you 2.0, and you talk about your service or product here. Let's just go with a service example. Think about how much more effective it would be. Let me erase that. Think about how much more effective your service would be if beneath you talking about it, you had your 5-star reviews from Google here. You have all the brands that you've worked with, brand 1, brand 2, or you just flat out had those trust badges like testimonials here. Suddenly you have a video testimonial from your favorite client, or another video testimonial, or another video testimonial. Show us examples of the thing you've done. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how great your Google's reviews are. It doesn't matter how great your Yelp reviews are. It doesn't even matter how much you're growing your business if you can't demonstrate it on your website. So all you need to do to fix this is to take all of your outlets, let's say reviews, let's say badges, and let's say testimonials, and pepper those into your site. Reviews, get them from third parties, Google, Yelp, Bing, Apple Maps. Badges, these are going to be your certifications. Do you have awards? Are you GMO? Are you organic, cruelty-free, fast shipping? When you go to Amazon, they show you Prime, they show reviews, they show buyers like this, they show recommendations. All these badges help increase that credibility. If you have trust pilot scores, if you have awards, if you have certifications, if you're a nonprofit, if you're B Corp, think about all the things that you can prove and quantify that matter to the people you're selling to. And then most importantly, get these in video format, ideally, but pepper in those video testimonials. They're harder to fake, unlike a text review, and they show people's emotions. They show people's actions. They show them getting the result of you working with them. It's so great when somebody can say, I worked with this person and I got that great result. Oh, my life is so much better. Just ask them for a 30-second clip. And all you need to do is talk about before, after, feeling. Before this, I was struggling. After this, I am thriving, and now I feel great. So all you have to do is before, let me write this out a little better. Before, after, feeling. And pepper those into your site. Start to take the things that make you great, the things that showcase that you've actually done that result, and plop them right into your website to actually earn that trust. It makes it seem like you are more valuable. It seems like you're more capable of doing the thing. So to recap, you probably already have outlets, you probably already have reviews, you probably have video testimonials that exist somewhere out there, or you can at least create them. But take that data, drop it into your site as much as you can. In the header, the first thing I should see is a trust badge somewhere, ideally, or at least a carousel of logos that you've, or brands that you've worked with and their logos, something out there that showcases why you are able to get that result and why I should choose you. So I promised you a free bonus, and I'll give you a little overview of what to expect and why it's important, which is the first thing is how to craft or build killer headlines. And this is important because that is the first thing that your users see. That is the first thing that they should understand. If they don't even get that far, you have a serious issue. The second thing is better buttons. And these are instant converters that you can take the buttons you're probably already using on your website, translate them into higher value so that more people click on them. And then the third portion of the bonus is a whole resource checklist on how to find better images that sell. Because a lot of you are struggling out there on where to find a good repository. And not only that, what type of images to look for. It details exactly, step by step, check by check, how to find those images that sell ultimately. All you have to do is click below in the video description, and you could find all of that for free in a document so that you don't have to do any sort of struggling and guesswork on where to begin so you can optimize your website. I hope this video was extremely valuable to you and that it helped you as a business owner. I would also like to know what you're going through, so comment below with what you're struggling with in your business so that I can make more content about that type of stuff, as well as subscribe so you can see more videos like these. I put them out at least once a week, but I'm trying to get that up to twice a week, and next will be every single day, because I make videos like these because I want you to succeed, and that's all I have today. I'll see you next time.